So picking up where we left off, let's take a look at angles 3 and angle 13. So if I notice, angle 3 is on lines A and C, right? So that's angle 3 on lines A and C. And angle 13 is on lines B and D. Well, there's no overlap there. There's not a transversal. There's not a line that goes with 3 and 13. Because if A and C go with 3, well, notice 13's over there. Neither one of these lines is going to be there. And 13 was on B and D, so it's not actually connecting to 3. You can also think of a transversal like a road, right? And if you don't make any turns. So to go from 3 to 13, I'm going to have to turn. That's not a transversal anymore. So for this, there's not a transversal. That would be NA. And if there's not a transversal, then they're not going to be connected. 3 and 13 are too far apart. It would be the same thing if I had said 1 and 13 or 2 and 14. I would have to turn to get there, and that doesn't make it a transversal anymore. If I think of these like roads, I can't turn. Now 10 and 13 have a road. 10 and 13 have a transversal. If I take line D, if I just take that road, right, there's my transversal. There's my other lines, so I can ignore the rest. And we'll notice that 10 and 13 are both on the interior. They're both on the inside, so that would be same side interior. I'm going to write SSI for short. Whenever we're just identifying, which is what we're doing today, we can simply use those abbreviations. That's fine. And then for 12 and 11, well, 12 and 11 are right next to each other. I could just walk across the street there. That doesn't necessarily have a transversal. I could say that they're both on line A and D if we wanted to, but that goes back to an old word. What type of angles do you have if they're adjacent? They're next to each other, right? They're sharing a ray. They're supplementary. That would make a linear pair. And you could say LP for short if you wanted to. So let's take a look at this from the perspective of roads and traveling and buildings. So if you had the school and the firehouse, ask yourself, what's the transversal? So here's the school right here. And then the firehouse right here. What's the road that you could take that would go from the school to the firehouse? That's your transversal, and in this case, that would be First Avenue. First Avenue is going to be the road that I would take to get from the school to the firehouse. So that's my transversal, First Avenue. And now I have to ask myself, though, if that's my transversal, there's the school, there's the firehouse, one's on Maple Street and one's on Apple Street. There's a lot happening in the picture, but if I take all of that away, essentially what I have is an angle here and an angle here. So they're both on the inside on opposite. That would be alternate interior. And hopefully you're starting to pick this up, because next week we're going to be solving with this. So like, how would you solve if you knew that one was 50? What would you do for the other one? So home and school. Well, home and school, that's a short trip for whoever that person is. They could just walk across the street, walk across Maple Street, and be at school. So that doesn't necessarily have a transversal, but that does make a what? We just saw that a second ago. That's another linear pair. And for transversal, you could say First Avenue. You could say Maple Street. Remember that linear pairs and vertical angles are kind of older words, so we don't really have transversals with those. Now if we talk about the gas station and the circle, so here's the gas station right here, here's circle 7. That would still be First Avenue, would still take you there. So First Avenue is still going to be our transversal. And if I take a look at those, so one's on Walnut Street and one's on Apple Street. They're both in between those streets, which means interior, alternate sides. So that's another alternate interior. Now, if I were trying to go from the police station to the mall, now I'm not on First Avenue anymore. Ask yourself, what road would take you from the police station to the mall? And that would be 2nd Avenue is our transversal. And then if I'm looking on that, they're on the same side of the road. They're on the same side of 2nd Avenue. One's on Maple and one's on Apple. That's on the interior, same side. That would be same side interior, or SSI for short. Okay, now if I have the library and the police station, that's still on 2nd Avenue. 2nd Avenue is still going to get me there. But if I really emphasize those roads, so police station, library, the library is on Apple Street, the police station's on Maple Street. If I were going to redraw this picture, it would look like this. So notice one's in the bottom right of the top set and one's in the bottom right of the second set. Remember, whenever one's interior, one's exterior, bottom right, that's corresponding. And a lot of people have trouble with corresponding, but just remember corresponding angles are in the same spot, and that's kind of your clue that goes there. Now, if we're going to talk about home and the post office, is there a road that you can take that would go directly from the home to the post office? No turns. Well, if I try to take First Avenue, I'm going to have to turn eventually. Think back. What did we say that meant about transversals? If you have to take a turn, there's no transversal, which means that there's no relation there. Now, I want you to pause this video. Yes, actually pause this video, and then I want you to try these last two on your own, and then we'll see if you're getting them right or wrong. Okay, hopefully you paused it. So if I have this school and the police station, the road that would take me from the school to the police station is Maple Street. That would be your transversal. And so if the school is on First Avenue and the police station's on 2nd Avenue, there's Maple Street. So there's my buildings right there, kind of ignoring the rest of it. It's not like this. Now it's like this with a transversal through, and that's okay. You can rotate your screen if you need to, but that would be same side exterior. And I'm going to write SSE for short. And then for that last one, hopefully you were able to figure this one out. The grocery store and the post office, your transversal, that road would once again be 2nd Avenue. For the grocery store and the post office, and they're on the edge of town, that's the exterior, alternate sides. So 2nd Avenue, and that would be alternate exterior. Hopefully you're getting a grasp on what angles are what. Feel free to go back and watch this video if you need to watch this video again. But don't forget about your practice. Good luck with it.